would like to welcome back Gossamer Bio. They're a San Diego-based biotech company focused on developing a drug which is currently in phase 3 for the treatment of PAH, a deadly rare disease. Happy to bring back Bryan Giraudo, CFO and COO. Welcome back, Bryan.
Thanks so much, Anna. Thrilled to be here. I'll tick through a few slides and then answer a couple of questions, Anna, if that makes sense.
Perfect.
So very quickly, Gossamer Bio is as Anna said, a San Diego-based biotechnology company founded in 2018. We have put all of our efforts around a therapy called seralutinib, which is a multi-kinase inhibitor for the treatment of pulmonary arterial hypertension, as well as pulmonary hypertension associated with interstitial lung disease. Both of these indications are multi-billion-dollar in revenue potential, and the first indication, pulmonary arterial hypertension, we are in a global registrational study, the phase 3 PROSERA study that is currently enrolling patients with an expectation of top-line data in the fourth quarter of next year. Importantly, we are partnered with the Chiesi Group, a very large multinational pharma based in Parma, Italy, where we announced a transaction earlier this year where we will commercialize seralutinib in the United States via 50-50 profit split. Chiesi will market seralutinib first in PAH and then in pulmonary hypertension associated with interstitial lung disease outside the United States, where we will get a mid to high teens royalty on all sales. Importantly, the capital as well as the cost sharing that we have with Chiesi allows us to have cash runway well through 2027 and able to deliver both of these phase 3 development plans. Real quickly, let me talk about the first indication, pulmonary arterial hypertension. As Anna said, it is a rare progressive disease, affects about 30,000 to 50,000 patients in the United States, predominantly women of childbearing age, similar numbers in the European Union, similar percentage of population in places like Japan, South Korea, various countries in Latin America, Saudi Arabia, so on and so forth. Right now, in 2023, the market for PAH globally is just about $7 billion. That market is going under a significant transition with the approval of a therapy from our friends at Merck, the large pharma company, and a drug called sotatercept. Sotatercept works in a totally different way than seralutinib, but importantly, it is the first new mechanism to be approved in PAH in roughly 20 years. We expect seralutinib to be the second approved therapy with a different mechanism following the heels of the successful launch of sotatercept. I'll spend a few minutes talking about the treatment paradigm and how that has been affected. But what I would say is when you look at the cartoon here on the right, what you are seeing is the vasculature system that is in every human's lungs that pulls oxygen from the lungs to the right ventricle to be distributed throughout the rest of the body. In PAH, what ends up happening is those arteries, those arterioles in your lungs, the cells, the smooth muscle cells that surround them, don't stop growing. In fact, they turn themselves somewhat into tumors. As a result, that ends up occluding the far branches to some of the main trunks, if you will, of the arterioles, which ends up making the right heart have to work harder to pull oxygenated blood to the heart to then distribute to the rest of the body. These patients end up dying from right heart failure. Today, PAH has a median mortality rate of about 5 years. Our therapy, seralutinib, as I said earlier, is a novel kinase inhibitor that really targets 3 important kinases: PDGF, which is that resulting in the cellular overgrowth, c-KIT and CSF1R, which affect the fibrosis and inflammation that is associated with PAH. Importantly, we conducted a phase 2 study called the TORREY study, and there was, I would say, a little controversy with our data. The clinical community very much appreciated what we were able to achieve in TORREY. The financial community did not. Why not? I did mention the Merck drug sotatercept, again, a different mechanism of action. In its phase 2 study, of which Gossamer was compared to, you'll see the red box on the far left. PVR was the primary endpoint in both studies. PVR is a fancy way of measuring blood pressure at the site of where the artery goes right into the right heart. It's taken via right heart catheter. It's really just to see, how hard is that right heart having to work. At 24 weeks, we showed a 14% reduction in PVR. That was statistically significant. That was on the face value a good win for patients. As I said, the market compares us to sotatercept, which had at the low dose an 18% reduction in PVR, at the high dose a 32% reduction. Of course, we had hoped to kick a field goal. It is football season with our data, but we missed the upright left. The reason why we missed the upright is very simple. We were doing our study during the height of COVID. The patient population around the globe that was available for clinical studies in PAH was significantly constrained. As a result, we enrolled one of the healthiest patient populations ever studied in a phase 2 study in PAH. That unfortunately gave us results that were not as striking or dramatic as what the Merck drug did. Importantly, their patients were roughly 20 to 25% more sick. Their drug had more room to move patients versus ours. Now, what we saw was also very interesting in this phase 2 data, where we saw two important secondary markers, as well as when we looked at that sicker patient population that looks more like what the Merck drug studied. We started to see not only greater reductions in PVR, greater reductions in a biomarker of right heart health called NT-proBNP, but importantly, we started to see an increase in exercise capacity via 6-minute walk. We then decided to do what most companies do, which is called an open label extension study, to keep patients on drug, those that were randomized to drug, for another 48 weeks. Those that were randomized to placebo at week 24, we put them on drug for 48 weeks. And what we saw was an unprecedented continuation of efficacy via PVR, where at week 72, we are seeing results that are consistent with what the Merck drug was able to show at week 24. What's very important, so if this is my month 18 time point, what does the Merck drug do when you go out 72 weeks? Well, in fact, the efficacy starts to plateau. We see through their data, all publicly available, that patients' PVRs really don't improve beyond, call it month 14 or 15 for those that have exposure to this Merck drug, sotatercept. We have continued to see not only efficacy continuing to build, importantly, our safety profile continues to be best in class, where we have seen with seralutinib mild cough and headache. Again, I juxtapose that to our competitor Merck, who has seen not only telangiectasia or spider veins systemically, they've seen intracranial bleeds as well as gastrointestinal hemorrhages. So we think that we have really the best mousetrap for this $7 billion market, equally for where we'll take it in PH-ILD going forward. And where we are today, as I said, we are in a multinational phase 3 study, the PROSERA study, which we believe we will have data in the fourth quarter of 2025. With this data, we will be able to file with the FDA and the EMA for approval. Importantly, our entry criteria for this study is ensuring that we get those sick patients like our friends at Merck were able to do in the sotatercept phase 2 and phase 3 studies. So we are definitely ensuring that we will have those patients like we had in our phase 2 that were sick enough to move quickly at week 24. I mentioned a little bit about PH-ILD, which is where we will start a phase 3 study next year in partnership with our friends at Chiesi. This is a really interesting market for us because it's twice the size of the PAH market. Again, remember, PAH today is $7 billion worldwide, with a patient population that's 2x, but only one approved therapy anywhere in the world, which is inhaled Tyvaso, which is approved in the United States only. We think there is a absolutely terrific opportunity for seralutinib to help this unmet patient population. We look forward to bringing more details around that phase 3 study as we get through regulatory discussions and into the first quarter. Quickly on our balance sheet, we ended the second quarter with $350 million of cash on the balance sheet. We do have $200 million of convertible notes outstanding. They're due in May of 2027, and we have about 226 million shares outstanding. We are well capitalized to deliver these milestones for the investment community, and we hope that you will join us on this exciting journey that we are undertaking for patients around the globe. With that, Anna, I'm happy to take any questions.
Great job, Bryan. Quickly, talk a little bit about why you chose Chiesi as a partner. What do they bring to the table?
Great question. We chose Chiesi because certainly the European marketplace is one that has equal number of patients as we have in the United States. They have an 85-year history of working in both not only pulmonology but cardiology, the two disciplines that treat PAH patients. But importantly, they have one of probably the best EBITDA margin of any global pharma that I have ever seen, which if you distill it, it means they're really good at making money in geographies that global pharma has struggled with. They are a market leader in cardiology, in pulmonology, in the European Union, as well as other geographies. So to have their expertise, not only from a regulatory perspective, but from a reimbursement perspective, and to have their commercial reach in an important region like the European Union is really going to be transformational for the prospects of seralutinib.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for giving us this update. Really important work you're doing, and we're happy about this progress you've made.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
All right, everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back.